long history of legends, myths, Across the long history of legends, myths, and heroic tales, few figures are as powerful or tragic as the fallen knight. The knight is usually imagined as a symbol of courage, loyalty, honor, and sacrifice. Clothed in steel armor and carrying a sword into battle, the knight stands against evil and protects the weak. Yet there is another version of the knight that captures the imagination even more deeply: the dark knight who has fallen from grace. This figure is not born evil. Instead, the Dark Knight begins as a hero with dreams, promises, and noble ideals. Over time, pain, betrayal, ambition, fear, or grief slowly twist those ideals into darkness. The result is a warrior who still carries strength and greatness, but whose soul has become consumed by shadow. The story of a fallen Dark Knight is powerful because it reflects the struggles inside human nature. Every person faces temptation, anger, sadness, and disappointment. The Dark Knight represents what can happen when those emotions grow stronger than hope, compassion, or wisdom. Unlike a monster born in darkness, the fallen knight remembers what it once meant to be good. This memory makes the character tragic rather than purely evil. The knight may still carry flashes of honor beneath the darkness, creating conflict between who the knight was and who the knight has become. The tale of a fallen Dark Knight often explores themes such as corruption, revenge, loneliness, guilt, redemption, and the battle between light and darkness. In many stories, the knight begins as a respected warrior admired by kingdoms and trusted by friends. The knight trains for years to defend justice and to uphold sacred oaths. Yet even the strongest warrior can break under enough suffering. A kingdom may betray the knight. Friends may abandon the knight. War may destroy everything the knight once loved. Step by step, the hero begins to lose faith in goodness itself. This transformation does not happen all at once. At first, the knight may still believe that harsh actions are necessary to achieve peace. Small acts of cruelty slowly become greater acts of violence. The knight convinces himself that the ends justify the means. Eventually, the line between justice and vengeance disappears. The once noble warrior becomes feared across the land, wearing black armor not only as protection, but as a symbol of the darkness inside. Despite the knight's terrifying power, the tragedy lies in the fact that the knight could have become something greater. The fall feels painful because it was avoidable. A single act of kindness, understanding, or forgiveness may have changed everything. This is why the story of a fallen Dark Knight remains timeless. It is not only a tale about swords and battles. It is a story about choices, emotions, and the fragile nature of the human spirit. The rise of the knight. Before the darkness consumed him, the knight was once a symbol of hope. Born in a small village at the edge of a troubled kingdom, he grew up during a time of war and suffering. Raiders attacked villages, corrupt nobles demanded heavy taxes, and fear spread across the land like wildfire. As a child, the future knight watched innocent people struggle every day. He saw homes burned to ashes and families torn apart by violence. Yet instead of becoming bitter, he dreamed of becoming strong enough to protect others. The young boy trained constantly. While other children played in fields or wandered through forests, he practiced with wooden swords and studied stories of legendary heroes. He admired the knights who defended the kingdom and believed they represented the highest form of honor. Though poor, he possessed determination stronger than steel. His discipline and courage eventually caught the attention of an aging knight who traveled through the village. The old knight recognized potential within the boy and agreed to train him. Under the harsh guidance of his mentor, the future Dark Knight learned swordsmanship, strategy, discipline, and the importance of loyalty. Training was difficult. He suffered bruises, exhaustion, and failure countless times. Yet every defeat only strengthened his resolve. He believed that pain was necessary to forge greatness. Years passed, and the boy grew into a powerful young warrior. He entered the Royal Order of Knights and quickly gained respect. On the battlefield, he fought with extraordinary skill and fearlessness. Unlike some knights who sought glory, he fought to defend innocent lives. Stories spread throughout the kingdom about the brave warrior who protected villages from raiders and stood against impossible odds. People admired not only his strength but also his kindness. He treated peasants with respect and refused to abuse his power. Children looked at him with wonder as he rode through towns in shining armor. Many believed he represented the future of the kingdom. During these years, the knight also formed deep friendships. He fought beside loyal companions who trusted him completely. Around campfires after battle, the knights laughed together and shared dreams about a peaceful future. One companion in particular became like a brother to him. Together they survived countless battles and protected each other from death. The knight also fell in love. The woman he loved brought peace to his troubled heart. She reminded him that life was more than war and duty. Whenever darkness from the battlefield haunted his thoughts, her presence restored his hope. For a time, the knight believed happiness was finally within reach. Yet beneath the surface of his success, seeds of darkness already existed. He carried enormous pressure upon his shoulders. Every failure haunted him deeply. Whenever innocent people died, he blamed himself. He believed strength alone could solve every problem. This belief would later become dangerous. The kingdom also began changing. Corrupt nobles gained more power while honest leaders disappeared. Political betrayals became common. The knight slowly realized that many of the people he served cared more about wealth and control than justice. Although he remained loyal, cracks began forming in his faith. Still, he continued fighting for the kingdom. He believed he could protect the innocent despite the corruption around him. At this point in his life, he remained a hero. The darkness had not yet claimed him. But fate was already preparing the tragedies that would destroy everything he loved. Betrayal and loss. The fall of the Dark Knight truly began with betrayal. Betrayal is among the most painful experiences a person can endure because it destroys trust. A wound from a sword may heal, but betrayal cuts far deeper into the soul. The kingdom entered a brutal war against a neighboring empire. At first, the knight fought bravely and led soldiers to victory. However, the war soon revealed the greed and corruption within the royal court. Noble leaders sacrificed innocent soldiers for political advantage. Villages were abandoned to enemy attacks because protecting them was considered unimportant. The knight argued fiercely against these decisions. He believed the kingdom had a duty to protect its people. His honesty earned him enemies among powerful nobles who viewed him as a threat. During one terrible battle, the knight and his closest companions were ordered to defend a mountain fortress. Unknown to them, the mission was a trap. Corrupt nobles secretly arranged the battle to eliminate the knight because they feared his growing influence. Outnumbered and surrounded, the knights fought desperately through the night. Arrows darkened the sky while enemy soldiers stormed the walls. The future Dark Knight fought like a storm of steel, refusing to surrender even as hope vanished. One by one, his companions fell. His closest friend died defending him from an enemy spear. With his final breath, the friend begged the knight to survive. The memory of that moment would haunt the knight forever. By dawn, the fortress burned in ruins. The knight barely escaped with his life. Wounded and filled with grief, he returned to the capital expecting justice. Instead, the nobles accused him of failure. They blamed him for the deaths of his men. The betrayal shattered something inside him. Soon afterward, tragedy struck again. While the knight fought at war, enemies attacked his homeland. The woman he loved was killed during the chaos. When he arrived too late to save her, grief consumed him completely. Standing beside her grave, he felt as though the light inside his soul had died. For the first time in his life, the knight questioned everything he once believed. Honor had not protected his friends. Loyalty had not saved the kingdom. Mercy had not stopped evil. All his sacrifices seemed meaningless. Anger slowly replaced hope. The knight withdrew from society and wandered alone. He abandoned his silver armor and replaced it with dark steel. Rumors spread across the kingdom about a warrior dressed in black who hunted criminals without mercy. Unlike before, he no longer cared about laws or ideals. He cared only about punishment. At first, many people still saw him as a hero. After all, he targeted cruel bandits and corrupt officials. Yet his methods became increasingly brutal. Fear followed wherever he traveled. Villains whispered stories about the Black Knight who showed no mercy. Inside, the knight convinced himself that fear was necessary. If evil feared him enough, perhaps innocent people would finally be safe. This belief pushed him further into darkness. The final break came when the king ordered soldiers to arrest him. The kingdom he once served now considered him a dangerous outlaw. Surrounded by soldiers in the capital city, the knight faced a terrible choice: surrender or fight. He chose violence. The battle that followed changed the kingdom forever. The Dark Knight defeated the royal guards with terrifying skill. Blood stained the streets as chaos erupted throughout the city. Citizens who once admired him now fled in fear. When the battle ended, the knight stood alone among the ruins. The hero who once inspired hope had become a figure of terror. That day marked the true birth of the fallen Dark Knight.